What up? What up? What up? What up? Man, I'm having trouble with my dang stream. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm sensing there's some interference from another program that I got. But yeah, I'm back, man. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. So yeah, I got a few clips I want to share with you guys. I got 3 different clips I want to share. One from Roland Martin, one from Paul Lance. He went live earlier. Crazy. And I got another one. This is an update on the Grand Blanc Mormon killer guy, the weirdo. I talked to some locals earlier that knew him, and he used to ride around with 2 flags. He used to have I remember his truck too. He used to ride around in predominantly black areas with his flag and American flag and POW flag. And so he was basically looking for trouble. That's what this guy was. And nobody had no trouble for him. Like, he was the trouble, you know? It's like these guys, it's like they don't realize, they are the trouble. They're the problem. So I was thinking, damn, my connection is bad. I was thinking about one of my favorite movies, Falling Down with Michael Douglas. And in that movie, Michael Douglas, he didn't realize that he was the bad guy until it was too late. His life was about to end when he found out that he was the bad guy. And I think that's what we seeing now. We seeing, just like Michael Douglas in that movie, Falling Down, we're seeing a whole community of men that's having to confront the fact that they might be the bad guys. As much as they wanted to believe they're the good guys, the whole time they were the bad guys. And it's kind of sad because I liked that character in Falling Down. I liked Michael Douglas's character. I loved that character, but I didn't agree with nothing he did. It's just I identify with it. I say, you know what? I understand why he did that. I understand, but I didn't agree. So it's a difference, man. It's a lot of this stuff with these want to be patriots, want to be MAGA, want to be I don't know what you call them, man. Like, I don't know at this point. It's confusing at this point because this generation, we've been through all of this. Like in 96, I think, when Falling Down, the movie came out, we was like, maybe the first phase of going through this. But we done been through this, man. Like, we know how this gonna end. If you a white, racist MAGA man, you probably on the wrong side. You're the bad guy. You might be the bad guy. And it shouldn't take for your life to end for you to realize that, though. That's what I want to make this video for, man, to try to help save some people from themselves, because it's all in your head. This shit not real, bro. It never have been. All this shit is an illusion. This shit is not real. So yeah, let me start with I'm gonna start with the update on the. I'm gonna start with the update on the Grand Blanc massacre. You know, I don't know how they gonna label this. You know, what kind of book or movie deal they gonna want to get out of this one. But let's start with this one, the update. I'm gonna start here.
It has been 2 days since a mass shooting and arson attack at a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in a small Michigan community. Cole Higgins has the latest details on the investigation and the attacker who died in a shootout with officers.
The investigation into the deadly attack that killed 4 people and left 8 others injured at a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan, continues.
I mean, the church is basically gone. And you really cannot imagine. It's just burnt down to the bricks. And the unimaginable terror that went on in that place of worship during a church service it's hard to take in.
As the community grieves, investigators are combing through the wreckage of the church and searching for a possible motive. The 40-year-old gunman and Iraq War veteran Thomas Jacob Sanford had openly declared his hatred for the LDS Church and its followers.
He did make the statement that Mormons are the Antichrist, which is a shocking statement.
Chris Johns is a city council candidate in Burton, Michigan. He says he met Sanford on the campaign trail about a week before the attack.
He had very strong opinions, nothing that was related to violence that would indicate violence, just somebody who had a very, very strong held belief that really he had maybe a philosophical animus, but not necessarily a desire to do what he did.
He definitely talked about groups of people in ways that weren't acceptable.
Kara Pattison was a friend of Sanford.
If you asked me, out of everybody I know, to pick 10 people you think might do something a little like this, I wouldn't not pick him. And I hate saying that.
Cole Higgins, Cram 2 News.
Y'all hear that?
Today,
She said she hates saying that.
Are widely called
So that's like basically, not wanting to address the problem head on. So I was just out in Grand Blanc where that crime happened, and I tell you, them people do not want to address this shit. I guarantee you they do not. I was out there all day long. And when I tell you they was on a regularly scheduled program, they was on it. Look, them people out there, they don't want to talk about it. They want to move on, So yeah, just like that lady said, 10 people, she wouldn't, she would pick him, but she wouldn't want to. That's basically what she said. And so that's what lets y'all know, like, that's a prime example. This is from a resident out there that knew him, that she basically admitted that she wouldn't want to admit that that man could do what he did. So that lets you know it's a whole bunch of other ones out there. She said out of 10 people. So it's a whole lot of other ones out there that I seen them today. There's a bunch of them I seen when I was out in Grand Blanc today. They running loose. But the police not going to be able to identify them. It's going to take somebody like me that can point them out. Just like how they put white racist people in our community to point out the black criminals. It's going to take some black in tune people to put into the white community to point out the racist, hateful people and get them before they do something like that. That's what it's going to take. Because you know what? Their people not going to want to even admit it to begin with. Like what that lady said, she don't want to admit it. That was some insight. That was some insight. Rewind it back if y'all didn't see that clip. I'll add the links to the descriptions. In the description so y'all can see them in full. This is another one. This Paul Lance. I wanted to share this as well. He's a YouTuber, former MAGA man. He just give his perspective on on how he see things right now.
We do have a mental health problem in the country, and it's white men. It's white men with small penises that have the Middle Passage, where 1.2 million. It's white men with small penises that have lifted trucks and pet bowl eagles and guns to feel like a real man. The Middle Passage, where 1.2 million black people died. White men. Lynchings. What? Between 5 and 10,000 black people hanging from trees. White men. Wounded Knee, where 350. White men. January 6th, where they beat officers, stabbed them, took off their fingers and eyes. PTSD, where 4 officers killed themselves. Suicide because of the trauma. Officer Sitnick died. White men. Ahmaud Arbery, 3 white men chased down a black man. Segregation, white men. The KKK, white men. Of gun violence in this country, white men. I wonder why that is. What do you see from the racist MAGA right now? They're just begging for another shooter to be gay or trans or a minority. And that's what you saw with Lincoln Riley. They were saying, oh, the poor white girl, it was a brown person. And you put her on posters and flyers and donations. Where was Ahmaud Arbery? Where was his outrage, Mike Johnson, you white supremacist? Where was his bill? Where was George Floyd's bill? Just curious. That's right. Wrong demographic, right? See, what happened to George Floyd is symbolic of where we are as a country. The white man putting his knee on the neck of a non-white person, minute after minute after minute after minute, saying, what are you going to do about it? Which is why we're here. And in this last election, that's exactly the question that we were asked again. This country chose an adjudicated rapist who molested girls on Island, 13-year-old Katie Johnson in a court deposition where Donald Trump and Epstein molested a little girl. Stole from cancer charities, caused an insurrection, cheated on his taxes, asked for the execution of, has dinner with white supremacists in his own house. But somehow he's the white man, so he's the most qualified candidate. And the sad reality is that part of this country with red hats would rather burn it to the ground than have a black woman be president. And there's too many people that have major, large platforms, including mainstream media, that absolutely are terrified of talking about what I am. Why? Because it's not a sexy topic. It doesn't get them likes and views. They have hoarded themselves out capitalism. They want you to be angry and pissed off. Go look at their things. Is this the end? Did Trump say this? Oh my gosh, is this the end of Caroline LeBette? Oh, this is shocking. They're fucking grifters. Martin Luther King, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't want to misquote the legend. History is not going to remember the people that did bad stuff. It's going to remember the people that stood by silently. And right now, there's too many people that look like me that are sitting in their privilege. I can't do this. I got to lose my job. I can't sit up for this person. Black people don't have that luxury. Immigrants don't have that luxury. If you're sitting by and watching what's happening with people in concentration camps, with people being racially profiled, and you're talking about the traffic at school, you're part of the fucking problem. Because you're hiding behind your privilege while everybody else is getting treated like crap, which is exactly what this country has done. If more white people that look like me would have stood up with the great Martin Luther King or with Rosa Parks or crossed the bridge with John Lewis, then maybe we would have progressed as a society. But all we truly did was suppress the racism. And the Klan leader said, take off your white hoods and put on your red hats. That's why we're here. 84% of gun violence are white men. Again and again and again and again and again, it's white men, white men, white men, white men. We, whether we like it or not, are the mental health crisis with this country. And if you don't like that, you can ship your ass back to England because you're an illegal immigrant on stolen land. So the question is very simple. Are you going to be on the right side of history, like I am, Or do you want to be on the white side of history? The choice is yours.
So yeah, you know, Charlie Kirk was known for speaking about the you know, the black on black crime and stuff like that. And I'm gonna tell y'all, man, the difference between this type of crime and black on black crime is like night and day. So black on black crime is 99 out of 100. Well, I'm gonna say 9 times out of 10 nowadays. It's not like it used to be when I was growing up. But black on black crime, historically, it was a person to person issues. The perpetrator knew the victim. Like, it was a history behind them. They knew, you know, they knew each other. This type of white on white crime, these are people killing people that they never met. Innocent kids and people at church. That's kind of like what Paul Vance said, or Paul Lance said, this is a mental health crisis. You know, these are people killing people they never met. That's scary. That's scary. You know, you seeing people, these people are killing, these white men are killing people they never met before. They don't know these people. They're killing strangers just because they mad about something. It's all in their mind. So that's scary to me, man. Like, that's the difference between black on black crime and this white on white crime. This white on white crime is like a monster, man. Like, no one knows when they gonna strike. They don't know the people that they hurting are random people. That should be scary. Black on black crime, not a lot of times, well, except for this new trend with these young guys, they are here shooting at people that they know, but end up killing people that they don't know because they don't know how to shoot. So that's the trend in Black America right now. A lot of young guys got these powerful weapons and really don't even know how to hold them or aim them. So they shooting the innocent people, and they really don't care if they shoot the innocent people. So that's something that's going on in the black community. The white community seem like the perpetrators are targeting people that they never met, just random people. That's like some boogeyman shit. That shit been going on in the white community. They just spaz out and start, you know, just shooting anybody, you know, hurting anybody, just anybody. They don't care. So that's scary. I'm going to play this one last video. And this is Roland Martin. I want to share this video.
Pastor Cody Deese in Mableton, Georgia, the church is Viking Lakes Church, spoke about what we're seeing right now with the hijacking of Christianity. And it's happening all around. We saw this with the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service. You know, all of these different Christian singers and others, and all of you've been seeing is this whole notion of that we're in a Christian revival and Christianity is under attack. You had the right wing who lied over the weekend when Penn State and Oregon had a football game, and they claimed that 100,000 people in the stadium were wearing Charlie Kirk Freedom shirts when that wasn't the case. It was a whiteout game that Penn State has every single year. But you're seeing this, and you're seeing this constant idea that, well, he was a Christian and he was advancing Christian morals, values, and principles, even though a lot of it was right-wing hate. And so I saw this on Instagram, and I said, man, we need to share this with our audience, because we've been sharing many of these messages that have been coming from preachers, mostly African-American preachers all across the country. But I wanted to share this.
Let's just look at this. Jesus defeated death so you can live. Dr. King was an awful human being. Civil rights was a huge mistake. Let's just sit those side by side, because that came from the mouth of a same individual. Now you start to see the exterior being a mirror to the interior. Let's go one more, two more. He said, quote, I believe in the Bible, and I believe that Christ rose from the dead on the third day. He said, this is the foundation of my faith, and it guides my actions, unquote. Hold it. He also said, let's hold it side by side, black women do not have brain processing power to be taken seriously. You have to go steal a white person's slot, unquote. Now, I want to pause here and say, for the critics who say you're pulling stuff out of context, two things. One, I'm happy, I just don't have time today, happy to give you the full context. Two, the full context does not change the fact that this is racism. Okay, so let's hold those about. Just one more here, one more, okay? Quote, I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing for me when I die, unquote. Hold that. One more quote. Quote, I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. Let's just put those right beside each other. Now, if this makes you uncomfortable, I would invite you to pause for a minute and think about how uncomfortable this makes our people of color feel. And what I want to say to you is, if these quotes that Jesus defeated death so you can live by Charlie Kirk and Dr. King was an awful human being and civil rights was a huge mistake, if these feel incompatible, it's because they are. These quotes are not compatible with each other, and I also would like to say they're not compatible with the teachings and way of Jesus. And what you see in this moment, this week in American history, is you see the twisting of the truth. And this isn't new. The colonizers who came to America said they were Christians. The KKK said they were Christians. There have been mass shooters whose profile said they were Christians. There were insurrectionists on January 6th who flew Christian paraphernalia. They claimed to be Christians. There were, check this out, some of you know this, slave owners who claimed to be Christian. And what I want to say is I can no longer, as a pastor, as a human, and as someone who's given their life to the way of Jesus, I can no longer stand by as Christianity gets hijacked by a particular agenda that is not the way of Jesus. I cannot stand by as a Christian and watch Christ's name get hijacked to further justify hate, racism, bigotry, misogyny, and white supremacy. I believe the path of Jesus is the path of generosity, nonviolence, caring for the poor, the vulnerable, the oppressed, and the marginalized. And part of what I hope comes out of this moment in American history is that maybe, and this is my prayer, maybe what we're seeing is that all of this is surfacing so that we can begin to see just how much the name of Christ has been twisted and turned.
Pastor Cody Deese joins us right now from Georgia. Pastor, glad to have you here. And look, I was so happy to see this because what I have said consistently, and I was talking to Reverend Jim Wallace about this, a lot of black preachers have been speaking on this, and what we are seeing with what Joe Walsh, a former MAGA congressman, longtime friend of Charlie Kirk, he said absolutely is white Christian nationalism. This is not about Jesus. This is not about what Jesus preached about. This is not about the teachings of Jesus. But this is in essence the moral majority 2.0 on steroids. This is what Paul Weyrich and Jerry Falwell and others wanted to do. And frankly, being a white preacher, I thought it was even more important to hear that from you because too many white preachers have been silent.
Yeah, thanks, Roland. I think it is a crucial message that needs to be said right now. And a part of my story, Roland, just so you know, is I came out of that moral majority type movement. My father was a Southern Baptist pastor. I got my undergrad from Jerry Falwell's university, Liberty University. So I am a product of someone who has been raised and conditioned to see the world in a particular way. And then over the years, I began to evolve, grow up. My own consciousness began to expand. I began to encounter real human beings that were different than me. And in that process, I began to realize that a lot of what I was raised to believe and what I was raised to see Jesus as did not match what I was encountering in the world around me. And it didn't match what I was encountering when I read the scriptures itself, from the prophets in the Old Testament all the way through to this revolutionary, subversive Jesus, all the way through to the book of Revelation, where John of Patmos is writing some of the most subversive literature in the context of the first century Roman Empire that has ever been written. And when you read those things, as a person like me who has given their life to the way of Jesus, studied the scriptures, I graduated from Candler School of Theology, so I've been educated from people who saw this long before I did. But your eyes begin to open up, begin to expand, and you begin to realize, oh my God, especially me, I have a social intersection that is crucial to be able to speak to my own family members. Sometimes you need to disturb the family text feed. Sometimes there needs to be some conflict. And everybody, seems to be uncomfortable around conflict. But one of the things I've learned is conflict sometimes is the doorway. It is the path that can actually lead us to greater transformation.
I watched Texas Congressman Troy Niels say in a congressional hearing that if Charlie Kirk was living in biblical era, he would have been the 13th disciple. I saw the Cardinal Dolan of New York say, he was like the Apostle Paul. He was a saint, and he just made people uncomfortable. But you read what Charlie Kirk said, and you read direct quotes. And what's been amazing is to watch people say, even some black folks say, they said these things about him, and I went back and I listened to what he actually said, and it's been taken out of context, and you didn't understand the nuance, and so you was just, people, y'all are pushing this sort of stuff, and I'm sitting there going, do you act like we don't have ears and we don't have eyes and we did not hear exactly what we heard?
Yeah, there's no question. I call that, here's the thing, call it whatever you want. Sanitized racism, call it rebranded racism. But as a white male, let me just speak to any other white males that are listening or white people that are listening in general. We're not fooling anyone, and we're not fooling ourselves. And I know, because I was raised and conditioned to see the world a particular way, I know what my ears are hearing. And you can place all the context you want around it. Someone said to me recently, Pastor, he did not say, quote, black women. You're right.
See, what he's saying is as intelligent as y'all want to try to tell everybody, especially black people, how intelligent y'all are. That's how we know y'all know what y'all be doing. Because y'all the ones that's so intelligent, bro. So we know what you're doing. You're supposed to be the intelligent ones. And then you try to act like you don't know what you're doing. See, that's how we know that, you know, what he just said, sanitized racism. You know, playing in our faces is what, you know, is what it's called. And the sad part about it is y'all not fooling yourselves. You know, and that's why I'm always like, you know, trying to explain. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, like, who are you all trying to convince? Us or you? Because y'all are not convincing us. So I think a lot of people that swear they're not racist, they trying to convince themselves. Because they're not able to convince no one else. So that's, you know, what this guy talking about. Like, quit playing is the point. Quit playing. Quit playing with yourself.
He called specifically 4 black women, one of which was Michelle Obama. And these educated black women is who he was talking about. And in the context, it doesn't change. And until we can come to a place where we acknowledge that rebranded, sanitized, polite racism is still racism.
Still racism.
And the great Franciscan priest Richard Rohr says it like this. He says, you cannot heal what you do not acknowledge. And this is why it's so imperative when I see things like...
Right. And so that just kind of leads me back to the same thing. Not only have white America not acknowledged their hate, what they're doing is like what he just said, trying to sanitize it, trying to have polite racism, you know, rebranded racism. So that's like right on par, like right on, you know, he hit it right on the head. You know, that's like right on. And I'm glad that I'm able to share this with you guys because he giving an inside perspective on this, you know, new brand of racism.
This administration and Trump and MAGA pushing to remove images of slavery from museums. We're regressing, we're moving backwards, and he knows what he's doing. This administration knows what they're doing. And I'm learning more and more that what this is underneath, what it is white supremacy. And a part of the reason, perhaps, many of these leaders, these white male leaders, part of the reason many of them are kicking and screaming and putting out the dog whistles, and I'm getting them, God knows the people of color are getting them. Part of the reason I believe that's happening is because they are so terrified of one word, equality. Equality.
Yep.
And what is equality to us feels like oppression to them.
I'm going to send you my producers will get your address. I want to send you my book, White Fear: How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. And the reason I chose that title, and people, there was some TV produced, there was actually a network African American who's a broadcast a show host and who wanted to have me on the show, but it was like, oh, my producers are uncomfortable with your title. And I said, well, I actually write about those very producers in the book. And I said, and because I saw what was happening. And what's been driving me crazy is I saw this in 2009. It was, and we're speaking prophetically about it. And I said, what we're facing. And I literally said, I remember John Avlon.
I seen it around that time too. When Barack was in office, I seen it. I seen the hate. I knew the backlash was coming. I was already prepared. What was that, 2009? That was 16 years ago. I was prepared back then.
And I were at CNN. We were working there together. He's now in Congress. And I said, John, we are in the beginning stages of white minority resistance. And he was like, what? I said, John, I'm telling you. I said, we're becoming a nation of people of color. Then when you see the advancement of the Great Replacement Theory, then when you see the attacks on undocumented workers, oh, they're replacing us. They're taking our jobs. We're losing our way of life. And you're seeing all of it. You hear the phrases. You hear the language. And what this about is, it is literally about, oh my God, America changing. Now these same MAGA people, Pastor, I'm now seeing them complain, and I'm seeing their posts on social media. I'm seeing them now complain about people of color in France. in other European nations. One person posted, when I go to Paris, I don't want to see all of these Muslims and Africans on the street. I'm like, well, you do know they have immigration there, and you do know that the white population, they are seeing a decrease in fertility rates in European nations. And when Elon Musk is tweeting about fertility, and Charlie Kirk, just 2 days before he was shot and killed, was on Laura Ingraham show complaining about white fertility as well. This is literally about white people in America being scared to death that they no longer are going to be the majority.
Yeah. I want to see your book. It sounds fantastic. And I would also add, part of the reason and part of the way, I would say, that they're bolstering this grasp at white power and white supremacy is not new. Some of this has been going on for years. Honestly, the merging of empire and Christianity can go all the way back to, somewhere around 312 with Emperor Constantine. And there's a lot of scholarship that argues that that's where Christian nationalism kind of has its early roots. But you can trace it from there. And what you see right now is a president who, might I add, does not care about Christianity. This president doesn't care about Christianity. Trump cares about Trump. Trump cares about power. Trump cares about authority. And Trump cares about self-preservation. And the idea that my own family, evangelicals, used to teach over and over and over again, be careful, it's a slip.
I'm glad to see people coming in here and leaving. Stay your ass on up out of here. Yeah, stay dumb.
Slippery slope, they would say. Make sure that the message of Jesus, the narrow path, the way of Christ, doesn't get co-opted by the far left. And they would warn us about CNN. They would warn us about the liberals at the university. And all along, while they were demonizing this other side, all along, their plan was to collect as much power as they possibly can, because that is what Christian nationalism is, essentially. It is trying to make America a Christian nation by force. And what I would like to say is America is not a Christian nation. You can go back to its origins. It's not a Christian nation. It is a nation with Christians, and it is a nation with Muslims and atheists and Buddhists, but it is not a Christian nation. And what you're seeing right now is this administration recognizing what works. Oh, we need evangelicals. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to toe the party line. We're going to play with these images that we're given. I mean, think about the image of Trump holding a Bible in front of the church. Is there a more iconic image of the merging of empire and religion than that image? Think about the AI image of him inside a Pope outfit. Is there a more iconic image of a merging of empire and Christianity together? But what I would just say in closing is this: those two do not run parallel with each other. The way of Trump, the way of empire, and the way of Christ do not run together. One is about truth, integrity, justice, and liberation. And the other is about greed, corruption, revenge, and oppression. And it is critical that we make a distinction between the two.
Wow, that was powerful. Wow. That's why I wanted to share this video, because I know I couldn't have worded it any better. This is a pastor, like I said, from Georgia, Cody Deese. I'm going to add the link to the Roland Martin video in my description, and the mental health video from Paul Lance, and the update on the Grand Blanc serial shooter here in Flint, Michigan, in Grand Blanc, Michigan. So I do want to finish some of this, at least to the end of him talking.
I mean, yeah, you absolutely nail it. And listen, he cut a deal. He basically said last time, all right, what do y'all want? All right, I'm going to appoint all the judges y'all want. I'm going to sit here. He doesn't care about. First of all, Donald Trump was pro-choice. He doesn't care about white evangelicals. He doesn't care about any of these people. He's like, he wants power. Okay, great. Y'all want that? Go right ahead. Cool, whatever. I'm gonna give you the judges. He stands out here. They're like, oh, he's the most pro-life. That's all nonsense. It's nonsense. And what they have done is they've made a deal with the devil. And I'm saying that for a reason. You look at their particular actions and what they are all about right now. And again, when I looked at the memorial service, when I looked at the things that Charlie Kirk said, I'm sitting there going, how in the world can y'all say that's Jesus? How can you even fix your mouth? Speaker Mike Johnson, okay? And you're sitting here and he's supposed to be the super duper Christian. And I'm going, wait a minute. I'm sorry. How in the world can you say you love Jesus and you love scripture and all of that, but you cut?
Look, Killer Priest said, calling on his name and screaming hallelujah when he hallelujah. You know what I mean? They calling on Jesus' name, screaming hallelujah when he hardly knew you. Wow.
Money from the poor?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to understand. Listen, I was born and raised Catholic. First 25 years of my life was Catholic, so we only saw the missalette every Sunday. But since I was 25, the last 30 plus years, I've actually read the Bible. Jesus talked a whole lot about the poor, helping those in need. And what these folks are saying is, damn them, we gonna ride with the billionaires.
Yeah, you could use the word, it is anti-Christ. It is the opposite of what Christ.
Say it. It is the Antichrist. Say it.
And the reality is, if you think about it, it would be the ultimate deception to have that which is against Christ or anti-Christ to.
Listen here. We talking about the living devil on earth. That's what we seeing right now. This spirit that these people represent, MAGA, is the living devil. This is the breathing, living devil. I've been saying it. Nation of Islam been saying it. Louis Farrakhan been saying it. These are the Antichrist. The living devil is MAGA. The living, breathing devil. The ones that scream God, say God, but represent the exact opposite. Look at the actions. Your words cannot hide your actions. You represent hate. You don't care about the poor. You only care about the rich. That's what the wicked do. Yeah, that's the devil.
Hide itself inside a religion with the name of Christ. And I believe that's what we're seeing right now. The book of Revelation, the actual word behind it is apocalypse. And I know many of us have like a modern understanding of what apocalypse is, but the actual original Greek, it means literally an unveiling. And a part of what the writer behind the book of Revelation is doing, and a lot of people see that book and they're like, man, that guy, he must have been like strung out on mushrooms or something. It's so symbolic and chaotic and looks like he's having hallucinations. But when you get into the book, it's incredibly profound of how John is writing about what's happening in that oppressive first century world with this authoritarian dictator leaders that had been passed down from the Caesars. And what you see is John is encouraging these followers of Jesus because you have religion getting in bed with empire and some being convinced that it may actually be the way, like the way to peace, the way to salvation. They bought into this lie. They bought into a myth of like redemptive violence. And John says, no. What I'm trying to do here is I want to expose, I want to pull the curtain back. I want to unveil what's happening because I want you to see behind the scenes of actually what is going on here. And a part of what we're doing as a collective, so I pastor this church. It's called Vinings Lake. It's in Mableton, Georgia, which is like 20 minutes north of downtown Atlanta. It's an amazing group of people, so much diversity. But a part of what we're trying to do is on a local level, we're trying to pull back the curtain every time we gather going, hey, did you guys see that? Did you hear that? And what did you hear? Because here's what I heard. So you can take statements from Charlie Kirk, you can watch his memorial service, and you could look at that, and a lot of evangelicals are like, oh, look at that. What a great man. And you can also begin to realize this truth, that just because it has the name of Christ doesn't mean it is the way of Christ. And we, as a collective, are going to continue, so long as this administration keeps continuing to insist on using Christ's name, using God's name, which I would argue they're using it in vain. That is the definition of using God's name in vain. As long as they continue to use God's name, we will, as a collective, continue to pull the curtain back and attempt to show our community and our world what this actually is. And what it is a co-opting and a hijacking of a beautiful movement that started years ago by a Nazarene, a brown-skinned Nazarene, not a white, Republican, gun-toting Jesus of the imagination of evangelicals. But I mean a brown-skinned Jesus, a revolutionary who flipped tables over in the temple and who actually was crucified by a merging of the Roman Empire and the specific areas of Judaism of their day. This Jesus, we're going to continue to try to show the world his way, his movement, and continue to expose what this administration is doing that Jesus would absolutely push against and never be a symbol for.
Yeah, I'm always about saving these people from themselves. That's what we got to do. That's why I just started this podcast. I want to save MAGA, white, racist people from themselves. I want to help save them from themselves because they have believed, they have bought into an illusion that's not even real. And the ultimate people that's going to suffer is them. At the end of the day, they're going to hurt themselves trying to hurt anyone else. The boogeyman is all in their head. And just like that movie that I started off saying, Falling Down with Michael Douglas, they won't realize they're the bad guys until it's too late. And it just shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying? It's all a lie. They've been fed for years since, they were probably young boys and their daddy put guns in their hands and they was taught to shoot and kill. And then at some point they started to mix politics in with, the gun. And then at some point they started to think like they're patriots. And then at some point they just get so confused that they're doing something crazy. And then we see them on the news, and, they throw their whole life away for basically a whole life, a whole lie. It's not real, man. Wow. Let me let this pastor finish.
Before I go to my panel for questions, are you getting pushback? Are there people who known you for years, who went to college with you? Are there church members who said, I'm sorry, Pastor, you've gone way too far. I can't listen to any of this? Because we saw a whole lot of people posting, if your preacher, if he was not extolling the virtues of Charlie Kirk the Sunday after he was shot and killed, then you should leave that church.
Yes. The dog whistles for the far right have been heard. They hear it, they know it, and they're coming after lots of folks because I've had conversations. But I will tell you, people like me at my social intersection, I think they despise just about more than anyone because I can expose exactly what they're doing because I grew up underneath them. So I know the language and I know what's happening. Now, our church has a whole history. I mean, back 7-8 years ago, when the first administration came in, I began to speak on 2 subjects that killed our church. And when I say killed it, at one point we had 700 people, we got down to 12. So my biggest fear as a pastor came true. And the 2 subjects that the 2 subjects that killed it were not LGBTQIA+. By the time we got to same-sex marriage, we got a standing ovation. It wasn't that. The 2 subjects that killed it were 1, I talked about capitalism, 2, nationalism. In my opinion, those 2 subjects are 2 of the most dangerous subjects to speak about in the Bible Belt of the South. And when I started talking about nationalism and the merging of Christianity and white Christian nationalism, even in the first term, there was a slow and then speedy exodus. And our church died. It died. My biggest fears came true. Then COVID came. We didn't meet for a year and a half. And then we came out of COVID, and there were still probably 12 to 20 people. And we all looked at each other going, we need community now more than ever. So how about we continue to gather? And we did. The second time Trump came in about 8 months ago, the opposite effect happened, Roland. Instead of a whole bunch of people leaving, our building right now is filled with capacity. People have come in that have left old churches, people that are walking away from evangelicals. Some of them call themselves ex-evangelicals. Some of them call themselves post-Christians because they've seen it. I'm telling you, they've seen it. They understand what they're seeing.
Wow.
And there is a rise of people, specifically in our area in Atlanta, that are showing up because they're saying, you know what, we still love this Jesus and the subversive nature of this Jesus, but what we have seen and how Jesus has been used, we want no part of. And so they're leaving a lot of these places and they're coming into our spaces. And it has been, as wild as this might sound, some of the hardest, most difficult times as a pastor. And I would just say both administrations. Roland, I cried the second time Donald Trump got elected. And I'll tell you why. Many reasons, but one of which was, and forgive my selfishness, but one of which was, my God, I don't think I can pastor through another term of this man. But what I realized in the second term is I'm not the man I was in the first term.
Right.
I'm prepared now. I am convinced that all of our voices matter.
I feel the same
Not
way.
just some, all of them matter.
I feel
And so
the
we encourage our people
same
right
way.
now. Man,
I feel
don't sit
empowered.
back. Like, let your
Man, I
family
feel
know.
empowered.
Don't sit back at the family gathering when the racist comments thrown and just kind of giggle to the side, or I don't really want to cause any trouble. No, this is the moment where we are to step in, speak up, and say, you know what? Not today. We're not doing that. We're not having that conversation. And I will not entertain ideas like that.
Thank you.
And this is a part of what we're trying to navigate as a community, because we have people, Roland, that are filled in our building that are navigating very complex relational dynamics right now.
That's deep.
Renita, you're there in Georgia. You get the first question.
Yeah, so not a question so much, but a challenge to the pastor. My dad also was a pastor in the South, so I definitely saw Christianity from a different perspective. And what my challenge is to you is for you to read every single piece of Black history that you can get your hands on, because this is not a recent hijacking. This is not Christianity. Since the beginning of this country has always been used to advance white supremacy. During slavery time, slave masters would tell slaves, the more you work and the more obedient you are, the closer you are to Jesus, the better Christian that you are being. Slaves weren't allowed to read books unless it was the Bible, and the Bible was used as this is the only thing that you can read. So even after slavery, when you look at Reconstruction, during that time, you had things like the Black Codes, where it was illegal for Black folks to speak to groups of other Black people unless it was in church through Christianity, giving Christian sermons. And even those sermons had to be approved by white folks. Like, the words literally had to be approved. And then you brought up some about the moral right, and you talked about the KKK and how they used Christianity to support what they were doing. So what the challenge is for you to read every single piece of Black history, because Christianity has always been used to advance white supremacy in this country. And that's why I think your congregation really struggled, as you said, when you talked about capitalism. That goes back to what I was saying about, you know, understanding that the harder you work and the more obedient you are as a slave, being told that that made you closer to Jesus and that much closer to getting in heaven. That same type of stuff is what goes back to capitalism, and then the nationalism of always using Christianity to say that Black people need to be a subclass and white people should inherently be in charge and this needs to stay a majority white country speaks to nationalism. It's always been used this way, and it won't end when Trump is no longer there, because it's always been the history of this country.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think a part of our task as a local collective is to decenter the whiteness. And so part of the way we do that, specifically at a local level, is we just bring in those who have been pushed to the edges. And we elevate, first of all, we buy their writings, we buy their books, and we do our best to elevate their voices as well. And they're obviously a part of us. I mean, they're part of our teaching team, they're a part of our leadership, things like that. I think that's critical moving forward. And I could not agree more. And I've been trying to explain this to my own group of people. I think it's easy to scapegoat and say, oh, that man is the problem over there. And the reality is, I am actually getting ready to release a book. It's called Discovering Your Internal Universe, right here. Comes out next week, October the 9th. It's about anxiety, panic, and fear, but the entire book is about doing our own shadow work, like going within and actually working out all that is deep within us that we have repressed, we have ignored, we have turned our head away from and tried to pretend it wasn't there. And a part of the concern for white males right now is even those that are pushing hard against what's happening is I think there is a way to both do our own internal work, our own shadow work, as Carl Jung calls it, and at the same time, simultaneously, call out the unconscious acts of those who are oppressing people around us. And both needs to be done. And this is a part of even when I look at the Charlie Kirk situation, I say, okay, that's clear to me. That isn't like Christianity. I think the word for it is racism. These comments are racist. I simultaneously acknowledge this man, in my opinion, is human. He's made in the image of God. And at the same time, what he said hurt a lot of people around me, a lot of our congregation, even me. And I would say it must be condemned. I can hold both those together at the same time. A part of what I think the challenge is as we call out the oppression around us, we also do our own inner work simultaneously. And the reason I say that is because, at that point, it's easy to throw it all on this man. And I think one of the reasons we love to point fingers over there is because as a white male, sometimes it's easier to point out the racism in Trump than it is to recognize it in me. And one of the reasons that I am so quick to call it out is because I know how I was raised. And I have spent years in therapy, and that's not an exaggeration, years in therapy. And all of it was intertwined. Anxiety, panic, theology, racism, relational wounds, all of that dwelling in me. And so what would it look like if instead of trying to clean the projection out there, what if we actually started here and started trying to work on what was happening inside of me? And that goes back to your point. It's not one man. I've seen the vice president. I've seen the Speaker of the House. And just because and when this man does leave, rest assured, racism is not dying. I see people my age, younger, who are still following people like a Charlie Kirk, and all the red flags are going off, going, okay, yep, this doesn't end with one man. This movement, this MAGA movement.
No, and I've been saying that, it's not about Trump. It's about the people that follow Trump. He's just a figurehead. So he can leave. His body that represent what he represent is going to find another head to represent it. So yeah, it's way bigger than Trump. But I will say this. He's such a polarizing figure. I don't think that it'll be another polarizing figure that can get away. Well, let me rephrase this, because this term is different from the first term only because I think a lot of the people that's behind him, they are starting to want to mimic him. But see, the thing about it is people don't respond to them the same way that they respond to Trump. So I just don't think that after Trump is gone, I don't think it's going to, like, MAGA is going to really have a foothold in this country. I think it's going to be some people that think like MAGA and still try, but I just don't think they're going to have the same amount of impact without Trump. I don't. That's just my personal opinion.
Doesn't end with one man. And so we've got work to do. But fortunately, I want to leave some hope. Fortunately, there's a whole collective of people that are right here at Vinings Lake. And there's 150, almost a couple hundred of us who are doing our best to do the work. And many of them are young. And I got to be honest, part of the reason I still gather with them, part of the reason I'm still a pastor is because they honestly bring me hope. They bring me a little bit of hope that, man, maybe there are some people out there whose eyes are opening right now and whose souls are opening, and they're doing some good work in the world.
Scott.
Good evening, Pastor. Thank you for joining us. So much good in your presentation and so much more I'd love to ask you. You know, generational racism, each of us are not born with a racism gene, and yet we have generational racism because environmentally and at home, people who don't look like me are being taught to hate me simply because of the color of my skin. And I agree with everything you've said, but I don't think evangelicals or white Christian nationalists are that dumb. I think they're liars. I think they're lying to themselves, and that they know what you say is so vitally true, but they reject it because of power and the power of racism and the power of wanting to control, to not lose a white privilege that they did not earn, that somehow sharing with people of color in this country means they're giving up something, which they are not. I can agree with everything you say, but then have you thought much about how we change this? I mean, you have such a thoughtful presentation. The truth, it takes courage. You almost lost your church, but based on truth, it's still there, and you're still preaching the message. What are the top 3 things that need to happen in this country, or that each of us needs to do to right the ship, if you will, and to take Christ out of white nationalism, or take Christianity out of white nationalism?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wonder if maybe the first thing to do is, I don't know, maybe start with ourselves, part of what I was just saying. I think that's where I began. I had to confront my own demons. I had to confront my own way of being conditioned, growing up in the South as a Southern Baptist pastor's kid.
I mean, I think we all need to do that. We all need to confront our demons, like especially Black people within ourselves and to other Black people. Like, believe it or not, like the white racist, white supremacist America, it's a lot of Black people that share in y'all ideology. We don't like ourselves. We don't like Black people either within our community. We don't trust Black people either. So I had to do my own version of what he doing with my people. So imagine that. That's deep. Like, to have to like come out of self-hate and to be able to look at any other Black person, my mirror, my reflection basically, and say, you know, I love this person. I love this person. I look forward to seeing this person wholeheartedly, right? So that's something I think for any individual in this culture, in this so-called Western capitalistic, white supremacist dominated culture. Because believe it or not, white people aren't the only ones that practice white supremacy. Black people practice it all the time. And once we do it, we take it to another level because we got access to Black people all day. We are the ones that got full access to Black people. So we can touch, like we can literally touch Black people on a day-to-day basis. So just imagine that. Like a lot of what this pastor's saying is he had to do some soul searching. I had to do my own version of that same soul searching, but I had to do it within me for love of my own stuff. See what I'm saying? So like this is deep. It's way deeper than white people hating black people. Black people hate black people too. It's for the same reasons. We just hate ourselves. It's deep.
There were experiences I had. My father-in-law, for example, my father-in-law was fired from a church in Alabama in 1999 for baptizing a black individual. 99
Wow.
for baptizing a black individual. So these are experiences I've had. And this is no joke. When my wife and I met, one of the first stories we connected on with this, because my father, Southern Baptist pastor, had a very similar experience, though didn't get fired, but took a lot of heat for baptizing a person of color in a little town called Blakely, Georgia at the time at a church. And so we grew up under this environment going, oh, that's interesting. But simultaneously, while you have those experiences, you're being conditioned in a culture that you're not even fully like aware of. And some of these cultures, it can be subtle slights, right? Like, be careful around that neighborhood. Do you hear that? Do you know what I mean? Like those are things that you're picking up along the way.
That's what we picked up with our own people. We picked up the same exact cues. Be careful in that neighborhood. Be careful. So yeah, we were raised in the black community. We were raised to hate our own people. The same thing. Be careful in your own community. So it's the same exact thing, man. It's crazy.
And what happened for me is when I grew up and got a little bit older, I realized, oh, my goodness, I have more in me than I ever thought I did. And I have to unlearn. Or as, you know, some of the great writers of our time have already said. I mean, we brought in at our church, Austin Channing Brown. I don't know if you know her. She has a fantastic book called I'm Still Here. I don't know of anyone that says it much better than her work. And she came in and shook the foundations of our church. And a lot of people did get upset. They couldn't handle it. Call it white fragility. Call it what you want. But they couldn't handle it. But I think a part of what we do is we start here. Me as a white male, cisgender, heterosexual like me, I start right here. I do my internal work. And then I think second, what we've been talking about, I think there has to be an exposing going on. I don't know about you all, but I am so tired of playing these religious games. Like getting up, having a show, singing our songs, and then walking out the door and being more racist than anyone you could ever.
Yeah, just not want to talk about it. We're just not going to talk about it. That's being Christian, being a good Christian, not talking about the problems. It's the same way in the black church. Trust me. They don't want to talk about these same issues that this pastor is talking about. The same thing that he just said, the black Christians don't want to talk about. Trust me. They don't want to have these uncomfortable conversations. That what they want to do, not all, but a lot, is just not talk about it. If we don't talk about it, then that's being a good Christian. And still have these reservations in our community, still have this disdain for their own people. Yeah, it's deep. It's deep. It's real deep, man. And he hitting it right on the nail.
Imagine, and then convincing ourselves or trying to pretend that we aren't racist. When, to your credit, what you just said, I agree with you. I think most do know. And if I'm honest with you, I wish I could tell you that wasn't true, because it does break my heart. It breaks my heart because I'll tell you why. Because it's people that raised me, and it's hard to see it. Because what it does is it begins to open even your own understandings. And this is why you hear right now in the ex-evangelical movement, people talking about deconstruction. And a part of the reason that word is so critical is because the moment you start seeing, as the former person said, the merging that has been around forever of white supremacy and Christianity, the moment you begin to study that history, all of a sudden the foundations that you were raised on begin to crumble. And so then you have to let it just go, like crumble all the way down to the last bolt. And this is what happened to my own faith. And then what begins to happen is you're just standing there going, where do I go from here? And you start attempting some sense of reconstruction. But hopefully in that reconstruction, you have expanded the voices and the friendships and the relationships around you to where you have people from all walks of life, indigenous culture, Black culture, Latino culture, speaking in their perspectives in life. And it helps help you reorganize, reframe, reshape, and begin to reconstruct maybe what Jesus actually intended the entire time he was here. And so I would say those are a couple of things. Let's start with ourselves. Let's move and begin to expose what we're seeing here. And then lastly, I would just say, I do still believe at the local level, change makes a difference. And so for an example, we have an election coming up. We have a city council election coming up in November. We tell our people, we don't want to hear you griping and complaining about who the president is if you're not voting this November in the city council decision.
Exactly.
Because local officials matter. In Cobb County, which is where I'm at, listen, that Georgia matters. We are a state right now, particularly in this, the midterms and the next election, we are a state that's going to be critical. And so collectives like ours, churches like ours that have a steeple that look like a traditional church, but we've got a whole bunch of folks who've deconstructed and reconstructed and reframing and trying to get back to the original Jesus movement that got hijacked from Constantine forward. Like there's a whole group of us that are attempting to move into our families going, do you hear what you're saying? Do you see what you are supporting? And some of them do. And I would also say there are still a couple that I believe with all my heart, they just don't see it and they don't understand it. Now, part of the reason that is, and hear me out, is because they sit around and they watch Fox News all day long. And so they're in their echo chamber and they're just hearing these.
I swear, man, Fox News, my opinion about Fox News, I thought it'd be off the first year that it was playing. I didn't think nobody was that damn crazy and stupid to watch some goddamn Fox News. What you say, little bro? Christians versus Christians. Yeah, for sure. See, I'm letting this play out because this is really them. It's like what I played a video last night. I played a video last night of one of the OGs, man. Dang, was Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory said, man, all this what's going on right now, it ain't none of our business. It ain't none of our business. What are you talking about? Is melanated people, Black people. We ain't part of this shit anyway. So I'm doing this, man. I'm doing this podcast. It's for white people to wake up versus white people. Because guess what? They went to war, that civil war, man, over. They just wanted to fight each other any goddamn way. It ain't had nothing to do with us. None of they fighting ever had anything to do with us. They just get mad and don't want to fight each other. Then they all want to gather up and join up to fight us. But they don't be fucking with each other anyway. But they think that when they come together and fight us, that's coming together. No, it ain't coming together. They still don't like each other at the end of the day. So I just I'm playing this, I'm doing these videos just so these motherfuckers can look at each other like, damn, man, like we probably the problem. They've been killing each other for 1,000 years. This ain't nothing new. That punk, we say this ain't nothing new. That punk did that bullshit. I wasn't surprised at all. I don't know what y'all talking about, but I said this anyway. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm playing this video for these people to see themselves and what they believe in so much, they don't even follow. They never have. So this ain't nothing new. Like you said, this is nothing new. I'm just doing this, man. I got time today. You feel me? So yeah, bro. I don't care about this. I don't care about this stuff. No way. But they think they care about it so much. So trust me, they willing to die for some shit that they think they care about, but they don't care about. And I'm just trying to get them to like look at this dude. This seemed like he about what he say he about, and maybe he could save their ass. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not convinced either.
Narratives being repeated. And so when I show up for the family gathering and say, hey, are you familiar with the Access Hollywood tape? Because you said you're a devout follower of Jesus, but yet he said he could grab women wherever he want. How does that sit with you? Tell me how you voted for a man that cares anything, doesn't care anything about integrity, and seems to treat women like property and is a convicted felon, and on our list we could go.
Well, I could probably answer that because that's what they be about. They agree with that's the shit that they do. Like Christianity for a lot of so-called Christians, it's like clothes. You know, they just want to put some clothes on. They don't care about the damn clothes. They just want to cover up their body. Christianity for a lot of people, religion in general, for a whole lot of people, is just some clothes, just to cover up. They don't want to show what's up under them clothes. They don't want to show their full body. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to be naked. They just want to throw anything on. You know what I mean? So a lot of people don't care about, you know, they don't care about what they put on. You know, a lot of people don't care about it. They just throw any goddamn thing on. But some people do. Some people really take the time out to get dressed. Like they really care about how they look. Meaning it's more than just some clothes. This is part of who they are. It ain't that many people like that, bro. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people will use, you know what I'm saying, the coverings to cover up anything else. That's how a lot of people use religion. You know, it's to cover up something else up under them. You know, it ain't to highlight what's within them. You know, a lot of people don't got God within them, and they use religion as some clothes. They don't even. A lot of so-called Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, they don't even know the difference between religion and spirituality. They don't even understand that question. And that's really how you can even decipher who even really about this, what they say they about. They only care about the religion. A lot of people don't even understand the difference between what I just said. We gotta let them fight, and that's it. They've been fighting for what they've been fighting over. All we gotta do is watch. This TV to us, nah. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I'm trying to tell you. See, they was doing this shit in Nazi Germany, and they took that shit out on the Jewish people. They had nothing to do with their asses, right? That's what they want to do to us. They think we're the new Jews, bro. They really want to, like, all of them want to join forces and fuck us up. See what I'm saying? This already happened in this country. Civil War, bro. They went to war, and then after the war, they punished us. You know what I mean? Made laws and shit, punished us for damn near 100 motherfucking years over years. Still trying to do it. All this shit that we going through, our people that went through post-Civil War, you know what I mean, is based on them joining forces to punish us. Nah, this ain't no all we gotta do. Nah, bro. Nah, ain't no, we can't just watch. Ain't no watching. They ain't gonna just let us just watch because they want to fuck us up. So that's what you gotta know. You gotta know that. They want to take it all out on us. They don't want to address and be accountable for what they own. They want to fuck each other up and then say it's our fault. That's what you gotta know. That's what's going on. Nah, that's the problem. We sitting back watching like it ain't got nothing to do with us, and that's what's pissing them off even more. You don't see what they just did to them damn black college students and shit? They over there threatening them. They ain't had nothing to do with that shit, and they threatening them kids going to fucking school. Our babies. Come on, man. No, ain't no watching. Shit. Damn, they need to go on the offensive. That's what the fuck you already know. I ain't gonna say too much more, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, but reverse lynching. Yeah. Reverse KKK. Shit. Yeah. That's the only thing that's gonna teach these motherfuckers, especially in the deep south. Them motherfuckers down there think they can terrorize some niggas down there. There need to be some different type of motherfuckers hanging from the tree. Yeah, that's what got to happen in order for these motherfuckers to get it. Some innocent motherfuckers hanging from them goddamn tree, because they doing that shit to students, good little black kids. And they think that shit gonna send a signal to, nah, that shit over with. Think they can motherfucking do that shit? Oh, no, not no more. Shit, we got the internet, we can find out where motherfuckers stay at. Yeah, this shit ain't, come on, man. Yeah, we just as wicked. We've been practicing killing each other for how long? What, 50 years? The fuck you think we do to they motherfucking ass? Please. They been out shooting deer. Our people been shooting people. The fuck? Yeah, man, nah. Man, I can't even repeat what you just said. Bro, nah, that shit weak. These motherfuckers, like you said, if they want to fight each other, just fight each other. But nah, what they do, they want to take the shit out on other people. That ain't got nothing to do with them. They've been fighting, like you said, they've been fighting each other for thousands of years. Then they want to join forces. They think they're joining forces when they come at us. Nah, it's really just them not wanting to address the issues they got within their community. See what I'm saying? That's the issue I got. They need to address the issues they have within their community and quit trying to divert and use these black people as the diversion from them addressing their own shit. You know what I mean? That's like what my man was saying. These little dick motherfuckers, man. These little dick white boys, they so goddamn insecure. They worried about their woman fucking some niggas. You know what I'm saying? They mad. They scared. They think we gonna hit their girls, man. They a bunch of weak ass dudes, man. They scared. Man, what you talking about, man? What was done to some black people? What you talking about? You don't know what was done to our people, bro? You don't see what's going on right now? Oh, shit. Man, they trying to get us. That's what's going on. Shit. This shit just happened in Grand Blanc. Yeah. Shit, the whole hood was hot today. Some white boy did himself in out on the hood, man. Shit, them hey, you don't remember when Kayla Rowland happened? You don't remember when that little white girl got shot by that little black boy? The whole hood was hot. You don't know, like when something happened to white people, man, they want to come fuck us up. You don't know that? Anytime anything happened to white people, they want to fuck black people up. What you talking about? What was done? You don't know? Shit, they try to lock the whole goddamn hood up, bro. Oh yeah, that happens. It's happening right now. If you out there, shit, you better lay the fuck low. Shit, they motherfuckers, man, they get mad when something happens to their white people. And they want to take it all out on black people. That's what this whole segment was about. You know what I'm saying? You gonna probably have to go back to the beginning, but that's what this whole segment was about, man. About them not wanting to be accountable for their bullshit and then want to punish us on top of that. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, I ain't going for that shit. But yeah, man, I'm out, man. I'm going to come back with another video real soon. Marlon Speaks Live. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm out.